Welcome to Unfit Statesman with Zach Brown.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to another podcast that follows a week of nothing being in the news outside of the Israel versus Palestine conflict. We dipped our toes in the Republican primary, I guess, a little bit, but the overwhelming majority of it was Israel and Palestine. We're not going to talk about that at all this week because it's becoming boring, it's becoming mundane, it's becoming redundant. And I'm definitely not going to talk about the Israel versus Palestine conflict when I have my beautiful Jewish girlfriend in the same room with me recording this podcast. My beautiful girlfriend who had the opportunity to go to Israel on birthright and just never took the opportunity because her other half is German Catholic. And that's a half of somebody that's tough to beat out, you know? If you're half Jewish and half German Catholic, the German Catholic wins. Right? There's certain halves of races. A lot of people. There's basically nobody on Earth these days that is purely one ethnicity. It's very, very rare. And so, usually, certain halves or majorities of ethnicities in somebody sort of take the cake. That's how they describe themselves. For example, if somebody is half black, half white, you know, the black part of them they had the dominant gene, so they probably look black. So they say, I'm black, even though they're half black, half white. There's a lot of half black, half white people out there who just say I'm black, right? If you're half Jewish and half German Catholic, the German Catholic wins, right? Now, you might say here and there to a few people who are also Jewish, you might say, hey, I'm Jewish. I celebrate Hanukkah, right? We do the Passover, whatever. But for the most part, the Jewish doesn't win. Now, if you're full Jew, then it really wins, right? Then it takes over you. But if you're half Jewish, like it's if you're half Argentinian and half Irish, you don't even pick one. You just say I'm white. That's all you say. You just say when they say what's your ethnicity? You say white. Right? Because Irish isn't going to win and Argentinian isn't going to win. Right? Now, here's where it gets interesting. You get a mixed guy, half Spanish from Spain, half, let's say, English. Whatever language or accent that person speaks with, that's what wins out. Right? If he speaks Spanish or speaks with a Spanish accent, then he's Spanish. If he speaks English or with an English accent, he's English. Right? Nuanced. The point is, we're not going to talk about Israel and Palestine because it's boring, and you can get that everywhere else. We're going to talk about a myriad of different things today. It's fucking hot in my apartment, even though it's cold outside, because the sun is shining directly into our window. And all of the heat that everybody has on below us goes right up to our apartment. So even though it's like 45, 50 degrees out, it's like 80 degrees in our apartment. So I'm fucking sweating. I have the fan going. We have the heat off and the fan going because it's so fucking hot in here. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, I had 2 sausage, egg, and cheese wake-up wraps, a couple bites of barbecue chicken bacon ranch pizza, a large black coffee, and half a can of Red Bull. Right? That's where I'm at for the day. And I've discovered something that may or may not be as valuable or more valuable than Blackbeard's treasure. It is a subreddit titled AOC Mommy Milkers. And it is exactly what you think it is. AOC mommy milkers. Now you can let that, babe, you're moving the camera every time you do that. AOC mommy milkers. And I scrolled through. I moseyed on through the AOC mommy milkers subreddit. And I chose a few to share with you folks, you fine folks today. So why don't we take a look at what I believe are the best, the elite tier subreddit posts on the AOC mommy milkers thread. Okay? Let's get into it. I got to find the window. I got to share my screen. Fuck. Hold on. Hold on, folks. We're getting there. First one. Now, for those of you who are just listening, it's just a photo of AOC profiled from the side in tight jeans and a jacket. The comment on the picture is, imagine being able to double stuff that juicy ass with another guy while you both run your hands all over her, which is an odd thing to me. So if you're fetishizing AOC, it's weird that you would think that you would want AOC to yourself. Like if that is your thing, like if AOC is your mommy in your fantasy and you want her all to, you would assume you'd want her all to yourself, but instead you're sharing her with another guy. And he doesn't specify like friend or, work colleague, even a guy that you're somewhat familiar with. It seems like his fantasy is to have sex with AOC with a guy that he doesn't know, which to me seems, I don't know. It just seems like if your thing is AOC and she's your mommy. Oh, AOC is mommy. That's what it is. Not AOC mommy milkers. It's fun. It just seems weird, though. Am I wrong? It's weird. But then we have a different type of guy, right? There's a few different types of guys. There's two different types of guys, really. And this is the exact opposite of the guy that just posted. If I could suck on mommy AOC's big tits, I would probably turn into an actual baby. Mama suckle, suckle, suckle. This is just a picture of AOC. I enjoy that they have no, they're not sweeping the web to find a picture of AOC in like a bikini when she went swimming one time. No, they're just fawning over her in professional outfits. Something to be said about a man who really is sexually attracted to women who aren't dressed scantily. Right? But this is a different type of guy. This is a guy who is, what do you call it? He's a sub. He's a what's the name for when guys are like, they do anything for a girl? Like when they fucking, not cuck, but no, is it cuck? Either way, it's a different type of guy, but I enjoy seeing the diversity of thought in this thread. Okay, next one. And this is, again, we're coming back to the guy who's a little bit more dominant. I want to shove my dick in her mouth and come all over her face and busty tits and leave stains on that shirt. What I don't understand about expressing your horniness on social media is there's no actual release valve to your horniness. There's tons of Indian guys who are just commenting constantly on Instagram models' posts about how they want to fuck them, how they want to come over here and marry them, and just do everything for them. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, maybe there's some type of mental sexual release in that for them. I don't understand it. I have never gotten horny, looking at a picture and said, here, the way to satiate my sexual urge is to express to the world how horny it is that I am. I never got that. Right? Maybe I'm ignorant. I don't know. Maybe I'm ignorant, but I never understood that. Okay? Next one. Mommy inviting us to suck her fat brown milk bags dry. Fat brown milk bags. It is funny to describe anything that you're sexually attracted to as fat. She's got fat tits. She's got a fat ass. She's got a fat cock. She's got a fat pussy. It's funny. Because fat is usually reserved for the pigs. Of both male and female gender, of course. I would never want to objectify obese women. I'd never want to make them feel like they're anything other than fucking princesses and queens. Right? All our thick queens, our thick princesses. I would never want to objectify or not even objectify, but I would never want to offend any obese women or men for that matter. Right? I would never want to offend a man who has a average-sized penis and should not be ashamed of it really at all, but the fact that he gained so much weight over the past 3 years, it has now become an embarrassment to even get nude in front of his own wife. I don't want to, it's not my place to throw judgment unto them, but fat is usually reserved for that type of scenario. Right? So it's funny to apply it to a sexual template. Fat tits. Fat pussy. Fat ass. Fat cock. All of which are good, by the way. Fat tits, fat ass, fat pussy, fat cock. All good characteristics to have. Right? And here's the beauty of, transgenderism. That's the only type of person who can have all four, right? Well, no, not pussy. Fat bussy. You just changed one letter. You got close. Trannies, but you just didn't quite get there. Right? Isn't there transvestites who have both? Is that a real thing, or is that just a myth that people can have both sets of genitalia? My gut tells me no. Right? It can't just if you're a transvestite and you have both a penis and a vagina, there's no way that the penis and vagina look normal. Right? I just have a hunch that they don't look, to the women listening, I don't think the transvestites have a vagina that's similar to yours. And to the men listening, I don't think a transvestite's penis is similar to yours. It's probably bigger. Right? But the point that I was trying to make has been made. There's a diversity of people even within the same subreddit. And these are the types of things I'm trying to reveal to the world. These are the type of things I am trying to expose you to, right? You've heard enough about the Israel-Palestine conflict, and I'm sure at this point you've probably made up your mind about it. You probably have decided what side you're on, or that you're not going to take a side. And whatever comes of this from here on out is probably just going to be annoying to you. And I didn't want to be that guy. So what I'm trying to do right now is to expose you to these different types of pockets of culture. It's good to have your finger on the pulse of culture, right? It's good. That's something good to do, right? Exposing yourself to any and all, groups of thought, groups of sexual fantasy, and the subsets of each of those groups, right? Just within those 4 posts on the subreddit, that AOC is mommy, we were exposed to 2 different types of AOC is mommy redditors, right? 2 different types. One, the one that's masquerading as an infant who wants to suck on AOC's breasts for nourishment and nutrients to grow up big and strong, which would makes them feel like I don't know, it gives them sexual pleasure in some way, shape, or form. And the second one is just a guy who just wants to very aggressively fuck a Latina. Which, by the way, that's most guys. So how those guys who just want to fuck a Latina with big tits in a fairly pretty face, how they ended up in AOC as mommy, I don't know. But that's how you break that down further, because there's a separation between the average guy who would like to have sex with an attractive Latina versus the guy who ended up in the AOC as mommy subreddit, posting his sexual blueprint to pleasing Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. If you're just paying attention to Israel versus Palestine, you're missing all of this nuance in our culture, folks. You're missing all of this nuance in our culture. You can't bury your head in the sand. You can't bury your head in the desert, in the fucking what's that desert called? I don't even know if there's a name for the desert. Fucking sand everywhere over there in that fucking Holy Land. It's sandy. It's very sandy and a lot of dirt. What's the tree that grows well over there? Is it an olive tree? Right? Maybe an olive tree. I don't know what it is. The point is, you can't bury your head in the Holy Land sand when there's so many, there's so much more happening. Right? Can you imagine if we would have missed AOC as mommy? Can you imagine a world where you came to this you click play on this podcast, and I didn't have AOC is mommy queued up for you? I don't want to live in a world where we miss that. I don't want to live in a world where we're not exposed to that. Right? Which is going to be the theme of today's show. I geared up some stuff. There's not going to be a guest this week, folks. I had a fucking weird week. It was a very weird fucking schedule challenging, fucked up week. And so I didn't have time really at all to try to schedule a guest. So it's just going to be you and me for an hour. On a beautiful, crisp New Jersey afternoon, a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Maybe at the end, we'll put in a single game parlay on the Sunday night game. How's that sound? Right? And by the time that you listen to this, which will probably be sometime Monday, you'll know whether or not my bet hit. That's fun. Maybe at the end, that's exactly what we'll do. I don't even know who's playing tonight. I have to fucking look, but I'll do it on the run. I'll put a plus fucking 5,000 single game parlay in and see if it hits. And if it does hit, folks, I mean, you know me. The luck of the Irish, right? A pious man I am. So maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's the fact that the Lord favors the whites. I don't know. But what I will say is this gentleman that I'm about to show you does not feel that the white race, white men, white cis straight men are you have any type of favored treatment. In fact, he believes that it is a fallback. It's we're being discriminated against. He feels that we have got a bad rap. And so what I wanted you to do, again, exposing you to pockets of culture, folks. That's what I'm here to do. You know me. All I want to do is expose you to a diversity of different cultures and different processes of thought. And this, folks, is one of those processes of thought.
As a consequence of anti-whiteism, I had literally stolen from me the highest award that can be given among thousands of people because it couldn't go to a white man. I've had white women every.
I wished he would have specified what prize he had stolen from him, because it's I've never seen this guy before in my life, and he said it was a very large prize. And I don't know about all the prizes in like the science and the arts, but just based on his look, right? I don't know every Nobel Peace Prize winner. I don't know every Nobel Prize winner for scientific advancement. I don't know every art, whatever, gay prizes. But I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark here and say whatever prize he thinks he should have won had nothing to do with science or the arts. And you might say, Zach, why? Is it because you're doing this cliche joke about how he has a buzz cut and he's not a great looking guy and he's white and he's skinny and he looks like somebody who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, who has very disorganized thoughts and tends to be chaotic and make people around him feel very uncomfortable? No. I'm saying it because he's not self-aware enough to realize that when he just wears a plain white collared shirt with a tie, he looks like an idiot. Let me give you a piece of advice. Now, I'm no fashionista. I'm sitting here in a wife beater and a shit fucking like bowling shirt, okay? I'm aware, but I can observe, okay? If you're walking around in just a white shirt with your tie on, you look like a fucking idiot. Either put the jacket back on or unbutton that top button, loosen the tie, and roll the sleeves up. If you're just going to wear a white shirt, you can't be formal. If you're trying to be formal in a white shirt, then something has to go over it, whether it's a vest or a jacket, right? That's how I know this guy he's never been nominated for an award in his life. I don't even know who this is. Okay? But I guess he is, he'd have my back, I'm sure, in a street fight. So let us continue.
Think less of me because they've learned over the course of their entire lives that white males are pathetic, that white males are losers, that they can't dance, they can't play sports, they can't jump, they can't succeed.
Well, again, if we take the ratio of whites versus blacks who are good at sports, like elite level, playing professional football, baseball, basketball, soccer even gay-ass soccer. It's not even close. Okay. So the idea that somebody would be taught that white people can't play sports, it's like, well, no, you're not taught that. I'm sure you're exposed to the stereotype that white men can't play sports as well as black men, or they can't jump as high or run as fast. But that's because per capita, black people succeed at sports way more. Way more. Way more. You see any white corners? When's the last time you saw a white defensive back? Now we're hanging on. We have a couple of white running backs, a couple of white receivers, usually slot receivers, right? White linebackers. O-line, we've still got it, boys. We fucking got the O-line. We've got the O-line. Everyone's, the Watt brothers on the D-line. Every once in a while, a white safety, I'll say. Very rare. Usually on the Vikings. But this idea. Okay, so listen. I get it. White guys are not we're not in vogue right now, right? Straight white males are not what's trendy at the moment. In fact, usually, especially amongst the stupid people who have chosen to enter the political arena and take a staunch liberal perspective, seem to think that white men who exist today have the blood of their ancestors on their hands. It's like, well, you're an idiot and you don't understand politics or history or clearly what's happening, what's going on around you, because right now you're kind of winning, right? Sorry, folks. My apartment is haunted. I thought I heard the voice, a high-pitched screech of a little girl directly into my ear. And you might say, Zach, it may have been a headphone malfunction. No, it wasn't. It's fucking a little girl who lives here. She's been dead. She's been dead for over 100 years, and she doesn't like me. Why doesn't she like me? Straight white male. No. And by the way, his last point here is that white men can't succeed. I don't think even the woke agenda has claimed that white men can't succeed. I think the woke agenda claims that white men succeed all the time because there is racism and they're given success and they don't have to earn it. I think that's what they say, which I disagree with. But either way, I think this guy's a little misguided. But listen, we're not all the way. I don't want to take this guy out of context here. Let's get all the way through the video.
And then the girls are going out there for generations, getting the jobs that we would have gotten, and they sneer. So going out into the world, being a second-class citizen, my entire life, which I don't get to live over, everywhere a roadblock. Every white male has faced that. My life has been shit.
That first line, after we started the video over, that I certainly do believe. No, I think he has capitalized and hyperbolized what everybody who's a rational person knows, is that woke people try to demonize white men, particularly white men, white people in general, but particularly white men, to sort of eschew any type of negative stereotype or negative behavior or failure of people of color. Right? Now, obviously, there's nuance in everything, but that's certainly something that's happening. And this guy I guess he he's a white guy with a podcast. I mean, here's the thing. I'm a white guy with a podcast, but I don't fucking dress up for it. I don't even have a background. I just do it in my apartment. But when I saw this video, I had disagreements. I thought that he sort of is internalizing the woke agenda in the sense of his outlook. He's blaming everybody else for his own unhappiness or lack of success, lack of being able to find a woman, lack of being able to accomplish his goals. He has sort of internalized their methodology and reversed it on them. Now, it's not going to work because, again, as a white guy in a white shirt with nothing over it, you tend to lose credibility. And not just with me. Everybody. Okay? So I wanted to, again, finger on the pulse of the culture. We see one side of the issue, and then we see another side of the issue. I don't think every white person feels the same as him. In fact, I specifically seeked out a video that would potentially prove this gentleman that we just watched wrong. Okay? So let's listen to this video. Okay. So for those of you who are just listening, that was a video of a white child with Down syndrome calling another black student the N-word. Now, the black student does not have Down syndrome, but it is funny because you heard at the end there, called him retard, and the white student with Down syndrome called him the N-word. I don't think that white student, who's basically has the N-word pass, apparently, because nobody's beating the shit out of him, and everybody seems to be amused. I bet if you sat him down and said, "Do you think because you're white, you've had roadblocks in your life, and that you're having your life taken away from you, a life that you can't live over?" I think he'd say no. I think he would say no. I think he's, we're looking at two different type of gentlemen here. On one hand, we have a gentleman who's blaming everybody else about his lack of success, about his lack of happiness, about his inability to thrive in the modern world. Then we switch over. It's quite inspiring. We switch over to a child with Down syndrome who has done the rarest of rare things for a white person to do, which is to acquire a consequenceless N-word pass. Wow. What an achievement. Maybe that's the prize that other guy was talking about. Right? Maybe this... Let's go back to the other guy here, okay? Let's go back to the other guy.
As a consequence of anti-whiteism, I had literally stolen from me the highest award that can be given among thousands of people.
Yeah, it's the N-word pass given to a white person. That's what he's referring to. And so you have these two gentlemen who really were shooting for the same end goal, which is to acquire an N-word pass. And this gentleman in the collared white t-shirt and nothing to go over it, is bitter, envious, right? He's bitter, he's envious, unhappy, unwilling to take responsibility for his own lack of success. He is divvying out blame to everybody else that he didn't get what he wanted, right? But we all know the reality of the situation. He didn't merit getting the N-word pass, right? He didn't merit getting the N-word pass, which is, I mean, he said it was the highest award amongst thousands of people. I can't think of any other award that he would be referring to other than a consequenceless N-word pass as a white gentleman. What award is higher than thus? I don't think there is one. So he's bitching and feeling sorry for himself. Oh, I didn't get the N-word pass. I wanted the N-word pass. It's because I'm white, and they didn't give it to me because I'm white. Meanwhile, another gentleman that we just listened to, he was rising and grinding. He was hustling, right? He was doing his research. He wasn't going out and partying on weekends. No. Nose to the fucking grindstone, and he earned it. And now he got to reap the rewards. He got to apply the N-word pass. But nobody sees all the hard work behind the scenes, right? That's what this other guy, this collared shirt fuck, is missing. He didn't have the work ethic. He wasn't willing to work for the N-word pass. Kid with the Down syndrome, he was willing to work. And it paid off. Yes, I'm sure as a white gentleman, it's easy to fall into the pitfall of blaming woke culture for your lack of success, right? I'm sure it's easy to do that. I'm sure it's easy to say, I don't think it's fair that companies and corporations have to hire a certain amount of, black people, Mexican people, Asian, whatever. And so I was purposefully and with anti-white bias pushed aside, even though I deserve the job. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. What do you want? Ask yourself, what do you want? Okay, you got the answer? Good. Are you willing to work for it? Are you willing to work as hard as that little white retarded boy in that school cafeteria was to get the N-word pass? Because if you're not, sorry, get out of the race. Get out of the race. Oh, diversity hire got the job over me. Well, sounds to me like you need to take some tips from the old Down syndrome community, because at least one of their fucking guys, I mean, they, like I said, highest award amongst thousands of people. He ain't lying about it. You want that N-word pass? You better get up in the morning. You better get up at 4 a.m., right? Get up at 4 a.m., go for a jog, go for a mile run, come back, get in a cold shower, get in the dunk tank, right? Get in a cold bath, right? At 5:30, you better start sending emails, because that's the only way you're going to get the N-word pass, right? 12-hour days. Never pay attention to your family. Never pay attention to your children, right? The only way to get the N-word pass is to neglect your family, because you got to be working 16-hour days, because that's a hard goal to achieve. It's the real rise and grind. It's the N-word pass for a white guy. That's the real rise and grind, right? And it just so happens that this gentleman right here yeah, see, all you and I see is the reward. But what we don't see was the risk and the work. Right? Let's take a listen to this woman. Although I'm sure she would take offense at me assuming her gender, but again, pockets of culture, pockets of culture, pockets of culture, pockets of culture, right?
Tells you their gender, you literally have no way of telling. And yes, that includes your own children. I don't care how young they are.
I know it's a cliche to bring up that, like, insane liberals have, like, the blue hair, the green hair, the piercings, the tattoos. They tend to mark themselves up to be as flamboyant as they can, but it is something that is prevalent. And I guess it's not so much as me pointing it out, because again, everybody say, "Oh, does she have blue hair?" I get it; it's played, but why though? Because it is something that is so ubiquitous that even people who aren't funny can just fall back on that safety net of a hack fucking joke and get a couple of chuckles. That's how fucking insanely prevalent it is. So I'm wondering, like, why is it that people who are left-leaning or liberal or call themselves socialists or Marxists or pro-trans or whatever, why is it that they tend to be very colorful with their appearance? I wonder why that is. Is it an attempt to rebel against traditionalism? Is it an attempt to rebel against, I guess, what would be called civilized, quote unquote, society? Is it for attention? Like, I wonder what common characteristic amongst these people is causing them to do it, to do the gauges, not just do the earrings, to wear crazy shit, to wear a lot of jewelry, right? A lot of jewelry on your clothes, too. There's a lot of, like, weird shit hanging off of weird places, like a cave, right? You got a bunch of people dressed like they're wearing fucking stalactites. A lot of weird shit. I wonder what it is that makes them do that. I wonder what common characteristic amongst this political group pushes them to do that and create this pattern. Is it the attention? Is it the factor of perceived rebellion against society? Is it, trying to push by, blue and green hair don't show up in nature, not that color anyway. And, this woman, again, she has a very non-traditional woman's haircut. It's like a mixture between a bowl cut and Theo Von. It's fucking insane. And she's dyed her hair half green and half blue. And is it taking a stand against biology? Like, what is it that makes them do this? I wonder what underlying personality trait that is sweeping the liberal population that pushes them to make themselves look as unhireable as possible. Right? Because it's not something that portrays aptitude. Right? I don't look at this woman and go, she's probably a very capable young woman. I don't look at this woman and go, she's probably got a good head on her shoulders. I don't look at this woman when I walk into a coffee shop and go, she's on her laptop because she's writing code. I don't think that. And I understand. Oh, I don't care what people think, but yeah, okay, fine. That's fine. But it's such a unanimous thing. This has become a monolith of a look on the left. It's something that's becoming boring. Again, boring. Right? From the river to the sea, Palestine shall be free. I guarantee you those words have slipped out of this dumb bitch's mouth. What is it that makes this particular, it's a younger generation of liberal who has no grasp on history or politics or anything really. It makes them fuck with their appearance in a way that makes it look like they have a very synthetic look, it seems like. That's the best way for me to describe the liberal, hippie, hipster, fucking I voted for Bernie, but, I'm pro-Palestine and AOC is mommy. That is, AOC is mommy, and so is Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and that bald bitch, that black bald bitch. What's her name? Corey something. That black fat bald bitch in Congress. It's something that it has to be, because it's not the politics that's making them do this, but they do share politics. So what is the underlying personality trait that makes them do this? Rebellious? I don't know. Rebellious, anti-establishment? No, that can't be it, because these people are fucking voting for Joe Biden, right? These people are saying AOC is fucking going to bring upon socialism and Marxism, which she's not. She's not going to. And thank God, because it's not a good idea. I don't know. Maybe it's a mixture of all things, a call for attention. Maybe it's a call for help. I don't know. Right? But I can guarantee you this bitch didn't dye her hair blue and green because she's a big Seahawks fan. Although it wouldn't shock me if she lived in Seattle. But much like the other series of two videos that I showed you, I exposed you to this video. This woman, let's just one more time. Let's just listen to what she has to say before we remove her from the screen.
Reminder that unless someone tells you their gender, you literally have no way of telling. And yes, that includes your own children. I don't care how young they are.
Okay. So that's one school of thought. Process it. Formulate your perspective upon that opinion. Mull it over, swish it around, right? Pontificate and ponder. Judge and accept. Do everything you need to do to really get that cemented. All right. Now, let's expose you to perhaps the other side of the spectrum when it comes to this stuff.
They ain't working hard.
Testosterone.
Like he said, I ain't been around no niggas that's like you.
No,
yet.
no.
Oh, all right, hold on. Easy, folks.
And one of my old homies, he like, I'm working with artists. He said, them niggas testosterone ain't up like yours. They ain't working hard.
Testosterone.
Like you. He said, I ain't been around no niggas that's like you.
No,
yet.
no. It's
when
different.
I ran into Ross, it was different.
One more time.
And one of my old homies, he like, I'm working with artists. He said, them niggas testosterone ain't up like yours. They ain't working hard.
Testosterone.
Like he said, I ain't been around no niggas that's like you.
No,
yet.
no. It's
when
different.
I ran into Ross, it was different.
So this is Meek Mill describing a scenario in which he was talking to a friend who works with a lot of hip hop artists and people in pop culture, and the friend relayed the information to Meek Mill that those gentlemen that he's been working with have a seemingly feminine quality, right? What Meek Mill words it as is a lack of testosterone, which in the scientific term is sometimes called low T. Sometimes it's called low testosterone levels. But you understood, right? And the implication certainly is that, those gentlemen that have low testosterone, it's not good, right? And he almost seems, not only is he seemingly slightly worried about the fact of the lack of testosterone in men that he's been around, he seems a little bit confused. Right now, if we're gonna analyze the tone of his voice, he seems confused and possibly worried, and doesn't like the fact that these gentlemen that he's around don't have the testosterone that he expects other men to have. But this is antithetical to the woman with blue and green hair. She's saying you don't know the gender of anyone. It doesn't matter how much testosterone they have. Lack or abundance of, be damned. You don't know the gender. So based on what Meek Mill is saying, I would assume, safely, I believe, that he would have a staunch disagreement with this woman. If Meek Mill saw a baby with a penis, he would probably say that's a little boy. Right? That's a little boy. That's a little boy, and that's a little boy penis. And if you saw a little baby with a vagina, Meek Mill would probably say, that's a little baby, and that's a little baby pussy, and she has a lack of testosterone. And he would be right compared to the boy. Yeah. The little boy with the little boy penis is going to have more testosterone than the little girl. He's more traditional, right? He has a more traditional perspective on biology, on sex, on gender, on the LGBTQ plus movement, probably. I would like to get those two in a room. I would like to get those two in a room because it would be funny, because she's a white woman or whatever she's going to call herself, but he's also black. So black, like, even if white women who say they're men or they're not any gender, if they're in a room with a black guy, they still have to shut the fuck up. Because black definitely, because in the back of their head, amongst all the craziness with the gender shit and with the trans shit, in the back of all those people's heads, especially the white ones, because they're mostly white, and you and I both know they're mostly white, they still know that it wasn't trans people picking cotton. The Jim Crow laws didn't discriminate against trans people. They have that in the back of their head, so they still have to shut the fuck up. So that is why I enjoy this. Listen, I'm here to I would love a robust political conversation between Meek Mill and the woman that was saying that you can never know your child's gender unless you ask nicely. Nicely. And I'm not here to tell you which one to believe in or to not believe in. That's for you to decide. All I'm here to do is expose you to the different beliefs that are out there. And I think I've done a very good job of that. Amongst all of this Israel-Palestine bullshit, we have been exposed to opinions about race on both ends of the spectrum, and gender, and about the spectrum of having sexual feelings toward Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and being able to have the confidence to post about it on Reddit. You know how many different demographics and ideas we've explored today. Do you have any idea the diversity that we have exposed ourselves to today? Let me tell you something. You got all these college classes teaching about LGBTQ, African American, Mexican, fucking, tranny sucks her own cock class. No, none of that. You want diversity. You want to train yourself to open yourself up to all fields of thought. You come to me. I've always preached acceptance and open-mindedness and tolerance, being non-judgmental. This is a safe zone. This is a safe zone. I've always said that. You should never be afraid to come here and expand your thinking, right? Expand your political, social, cultural palette. That's what I've been put on this earth to do, is to expose you to ideas that maybe you've never heard of. I've never heard of anybody call testosterone that. Right? I've never seen the AOC as mommy thread. I have never seen a Down syndrome kid in a school cafeteria repeat the N-word over and over again to another black student. Or not another black student, a black student. I've never seen that. Right? I have seen a white guy in a white collared shirt express opinions about how he is being discriminated against because he's white. I've seen that. I have seen that. And I also have seen a blue-haired bitch give some weird shit, but, give some dumb fucking opinion about gender. Those are the only two things that I've seen. I've never heard testosterone referred to as tahtesterone. I have never seen a white Down syndrome student repeat the N-word on a loop to a black kid while another black kid was recording. And I've never seen AOC as mommy in all its context. But I have seen, because these are the two most predictable types of populations, right? The white guy who complains that everybody hates him because he's white and that's why he's not succeeding. And then the other side is the fucking blue-haired girl who's saying that gender isn't a thing and you should never fucking call your child a boy or a girl. These are the two most predictable fucking populations in the entire world. All right, folks, we're nearing an hour. And I think I'm going to, you know what? We are going to put a parlay in, okay? I'm going to put a good old parlay in. I wish there was a FanDuel sportsbook for politics. And I'm in New Jersey, so I can sports bet. Not being able to sports bet, the states that don't allow you to sports bet, that's about the dumbest fucking thing that I've heard in my entire life. You can gamble. You can play like roulette. You can play blackjack. You can play poker. You can play you can gamble on everything except sports. I don't think it's illegal in any state to go to a racetrack and put $100 down on one particular midget. I don't think midget racing is illegal, but yet sports betting is illegal. It's the dumbest fucking shit I've heard my entire life. All right, let's go down to the Sunday night game. We have got the Jets and the Raiders. Okay. All right. Wow, the over-under is 35.5. The spread, 1.5. Plus 1.5 for the Raiders, minus 1.5 for the Jets. All right. I tell you what, folks. We're going to go. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the under. And I'm going to take. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the Jets. I'm going to take Josh Jacobs and Breece Hall. We're going to play it safe, even though it's not really safe because I took the under. All right. And then let's do some alternative. We're really going to get the fuck up here. Okay. We're going to do some alternative stuff. We're going to do alternate passing yards. We'll give Zach Wilson. What do you think, folks? We're going to give Zach Wilson over 200. No, I'm not even going to do that. I'll give Brees Hall over 40. I'll give Brees Hall over 40, and I'll give Josh Jacobs over 40 as well. Okay? That's what we're going to do. And I took the under, which makes this a substantially higher payoff, because basically all of my shit has to hit and nothing else, because I took the under, right? $5 gets me $186.75. I'm going to take it, folks. I'm going to take it. And we'll know, by the time you're listening to this, you'll know whether or not this is correct. Some people might say, Zach, why would you take the under with 2 touchdown scores and 2 running backs over 40? Listen, I'm exposing you to all things. And one of it is listen, I'm a risk taker. What can I say? I'm a risk taker, folks. $5 for $186.73. There we go. There's the parlay. Not a lot of thought put into it, but betting is not a thinking man's game, folks. Gambling in any way, shape, or form is not a thinking man's game. Right? You might say, oh, well, what about counting cards? Yeah, can you count cards, though? Can you personally count cards? No. So you're not really thinking, right? 99% of the populace that gambles is maybe putting a little bit of thought into it. Not much, right? You put as much thought into doing heroin as you would gambling, right? Finding the vein, melting the shit down, finding a spoon. Like it's as much thought, right? Locating a spoon, using fine motor skills to get the shit on the spoon and melting it, sucking it up into the syringe, tying yourself off, finding a vein, getting the angle on the vein, injecting it, making sure you pull that shit out so you don't have a needle sticking out of your arm, letting the fucking band go so it rushes into your bloodstream. That's about as much thought as it would. That's equivalent to the thought that I put into that bet, right? Gambling is not a skill. It is fun. It's an addiction for many people. Much like the gentleman in the white collared shirt is addicted to denying responsibility for his own life. Much like the blue-haired and green-haired woman is probably addicted to the same thing, not taking responsibility for her own life. Believe me, if she could live in a mansion in the Hollywood Hills, she would do it. But she can't. And all she can do is say that she's not either a boy or a girl. She doesn't know what gender she is. And maybe her gender changes every day. And because America has such an intolerant culture, she was never able to get ahead. So she's a monetary martyr of some sorts, sacrificing financial success to achieve happiness through expressing herself in a gender neutral format, I suppose. But thank you everybody for listening. That's the end of this one. We made it an hour. Got to listen to some cool people, right? That's one of the things about the new format of the show. I'm not the star of the show anymore, folks. It's these folks. It's AOC's mommy people. It's white guy who's mad at people who aren't white and don't like him because he's white, I guess. It's the fucking Down syndrome N-word pass kid. It's Tahtesterone. It's a blue-haired, yellow teeth woman. These are the stars, folks. I'm just a facilitator, right? I'm just a facilitator. These are the stars, right? When you watch a baseball game or a football game, I mean, you watch the fucking Monday Night Football, you're not saying, oh, wow, what a great commentator Joe Buck is. No. If anything, you're saying, I would like to find Joe Buck and tie him up and beat him to death. And I'll tie fucking Troy Aikman to a chair and make him watch. But you're not saying, you're not lauding over the success of Joe Buck. No, you're fascinated with the talent on field. This is the on field talent, right? I'm just a fucking color commentator. That's all I am. Not a person of color commentator, a color commentator. Okay? Thank you, folks, for listening, and I'm going to see you next week.